You're monkeying around, son. All right, man. See, Ninja got me going, homie. This hit. This boy got me high. Cocoa Bird. I feel great. I feel freaking high right now. Going, homie. This hit. This boy got me high. Kip. Cocoa Bird. I feel great. I feel freaking high right now. Going, homie. What up? What up? It's Garage Jim, homie, and today I want to talk about how to deal with anger. The hard truth, homie, is it worth it? Before we get into this here, please click the subscribe button. I got content coming out all the dang time for you. So click subscribe and let's get into this, man. I wanted to make a video about this, just going in some detail and make it practical, because I got a question on Instagram about somebody asked how to deal with their temper. They say, they have outrages or bad temper, and then they get it under control and it comes back. And I thought it was a great question. They want to know how to deal with that. And so I thought I'd make a longer form video on it. So, look, man, as I've gone through my spiritual journey through the 12 steps of AA and sobriety, I've learned a lot, man. I've learned a lot. I've done a lot of looking within, let's say that, looking at myself for the first time, because the whole world, my whole life prior to that was looking out at you and how you did me wrong, man. So, and how I was the victim and the whole world was out, did me dirty and this and that. So look, man, let's just talk about a few things. Number one, let's talk about anger. So this is why it's important, because first of all, in the AA Big Book, it tells me resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. So it's telling me right there that anger, resentment is anger, holding a grudge, destroys me, especially as an alcoholic, more than anything. Even more than alcohol. I mean, that's crazy. You would think, well, what destroys alcoholics the most? And 99% of people would probably say, alcohol. No, my thinking, my head destroys me, man. My anger, my resentments, that's the number one thing. That's why we turn back to alcohol. So anyway, well, that could be part of it. So look, and this is not just for alcoholics, this is for anybody. I'm just using this as a practical example. So when I had to make my list, when I had to take my inventory, the first thing I had to do in step 4, I had to list down all of the people, principles, and institutions who I was angry at. I had to put it on paper in front of me. And what I didn't know at the time, and I'm about to tell you the key right here to how to deal with anger, this is huge. And this is going to be hard for a lot of people to accept. I'm going to tell you that right now. I had to list it down. And I thought I was one of these alcoholics, addicts who didn't really hold a grudge, Come to find out, man, I had like hundreds of pages of resentments, people who I was holding grudges against, who did me wrong, And if I wanted to get over these resentments for the first time in my life, I had to look within myself and realize that my problems were of my own making, and that I was not a victim. I got the ball rolling for all the stuff that happened in my life. So that was the first thing right there. And then I had to list out my part in all those things. So now I've spent the whole time looking at you, writing down what you did, how you did me dirty. Now it's time to look within myself. Where was I to blame? I got all these things I had a part in. So the first step to dealing with anger is looking within. What is your part? Okay? And where were you wrong? And how is this your responsibility? And I might have to ask God to show me that, because anger blocks me from seeing the most obvious things in the world. Blocks me. That's what anger does. It blocks us from God. It blocks us from looking within. So I'm so busy looking out at you. Now, there's way more here that gets way deeper. So, man, I'm fired up, homie. All right, so now I've realized that my problems are of my own making and that I got the ball rolling for all this stuff and I could take a look at it. Now, there is a prayer that I say when I'm resentful. So here's a prayer for you. It says, let me find it right here. Hold on, because I don't want to misquote it. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man or woman. How can I be helpful to them? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done. That's the resentment prayer. So I have to say that. How can I resent somebody if I'm looking at them like a sick person? So now it's time to flip the tables. It's like, you wouldn't treat me that way unless you were sick in some way too. You know, unless you wouldn't treat me that way unless you were going through something. Once you start realizing that the people who wronged you might be sick in their own way, it's hard to resent them because now we're showing compassion. Then we take it a step further. Not only do we look at them like sick, we ask God, how can I be helpful to them? I mean, that's deep. Not only do I not want to be angry, how can I help this person? God save me from being angry. So that's the resentment prayer. Now the biggest thing, this is the whole thing right here. The biggest thing that I learned through sobriety, I mean, I don't know if I want to say the biggest, that's pretty deep. One of the biggest things that I learned was that anger was never just anger. It was always backed by fear. Now that right there, I'm giving you the shortcuts, the cheat codes, homie. I don't have any reason to be angry unless I'm scared of something. So to really deal with my anger, I have to always take it a step further and look at what I'm scared of. And that right there was the key. See, I didn't realize that my life, I thought, oh, I'm a tough dude. I've been to prison. I've been on the streets. I'm a dope fiend. You know, look what I've been through. I have no fear. I'm not scared of anything. When I really was able to take a look at myself, I came to realize I was driven by fear, terrified. Let's just give a simplistic example. Let's say my girlfriend's daughter, I'm not saying this actually happened, runs out of the house and runs to the street. And my girlfriend is screaming at her, mad at her, because she ran to the street and was out of control. She's only mad because she was scared that she would be hit by a car or something horrible would happen. That's the most simplistic, elementary way I can put it. So you can take a look at how fear is always behind anger. And that might be hard for you to accept. You might not be able to see it right away. But there's no reason to be angry unless there's something I'm scared of. Anger's never just anger. I'm telling you, man, it's always backed by fear. The same way dishonesty is never just dishonesty. It's always backed by fear. I don't ever have a reason to lie unless there's something I'm scared of. That's why we lie. So fear is behind all of this. You know, so if you really want to deal with your anger, you got to always take it. If you're angry, you got to look a step further and really say, what am I scared of? And you might have to pray about it. God, what is my fear? And sit there and listen. You can't just pray and not listen. You might have to listen. So that's the key right there. I realized that I was terrified. I mean, fear shot through the fabric of my existence like an evil and corroded thread. That's what the book tells me. And now there's a fear prayer that I can give you. And so the fear prayer is this right here. It says, we ask God
to remove our fear and direct our attention to what he would have us be at once we commence to outgrow fear. So if I'm scared, God, please, let's say I'm angry, I'm resentful. I've come to realize that I'm terrified, something I'm scared of. God, please remove my fear and direct my attention to what you would have me be. And I might have to say that over and over and over. And that prayer works. So it's only good, man. We can grow from this. Your anger, your fear, my fear, my dishonesty, these things will come up. These things will continue to crop up. But if we don't address it, we're never going to grow from it. So the fine gentleman on Instagram who said, I deal with, my temper comes up, I deal with it for a day, and then it comes back again. My answer is, you've never dealt with the fear that's behind it, on why you're so angry, on why you have this temper, because you're terrified. We're terrified, and it comes out in anger. But anger, it's not just anger alone. If you really look deep, you'll see I'm right. And that behind if you find any example of anger, you can dig up the fear behind it. So that's the key to dealing with dealing with anger is dealing with the fear that's behind it. And the anger will go away. So first, if it's a person, we got to look at him like a sick person and pray for them and ask how we can be helpful to them. We have to go to the next step and look at what we're scared of. Why my girl cheated on me. I'm freaking pissed at her. Well, I'm not just pissed. I'm terrified because she cheated on me. I'm really scared. Why aren't I good enough? I'm scared. Why? What don't I? Whatever it is, there's always fear behind anger, and a lot of people don't see that. So that's the practical way I could tell you on how to deal with anger. You could skip all the anger management and all that and bring it straight to the fear management. That's the secret right there, man. So let's take a look, and it's okay, especially as men, to admit we're scared. It's okay. Fear comes up in my life all the time. And I have to, if I just let it go and don't deal with it, I'm just going to sit there and torture myself and be in my head, and I'm not living in here. The closer I get to God and my spirituality and helping others, the more the fear goes away. The more the anger goes away. The more at peace I am. The more I'm out of here and into here. So I hope that's helpful, man. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope that will stick with some of you. Next time you're angry, which we will get angry, that you realize it's only because you're scared. And let's deal with that fear by praying about it, talking about it with somebody. That's how you deal with it. You go to God right away and ask him to remove it. You talk about it with somebody who understands how your head works. You make amends if you have to, if you've harmed somebody. And then you turn your thoughts over to someone you can help. That's how you deal with fear and anger and selfishness and dishonesty. 4 steps right there. God bless all of you, man, together. So is it worth it? Heck yeah, it's worth it, man. Fear is worth it. Anger is worth it. Those are all opportunities for growth. That's what I got for you, man. I'm out.